In the shadow of Mount Himeji, where the morning mist clings to stone like old memories, there stands an ancient castle, majestic yet mournful. The locals call it Himeji Castle, but for generations, it's carried another name whispered in fear, the Castle of the Well Ghost. Centuries ago, before modern lights chased away the night, this place was not merely a stronghold, but a silent witness to the quiet horror that once lived within its walls. Today, tourists walk its winding halls with awe, unaware that beneath their feet lies a tale too cruel to be forgotten, the legend of Okiku. This story is not just a tale of betrayal or revenge. It is a story of loyalty crushed, of innocence destroyed, and of a voice that still counts, again and again, forever trapped in the darkness of a forgotten well. They say if you stand near the well during certain nights, when the moon is swollen and pale, you can hear the voice of a young woman counting slowly. 1, 2, 3. Her voice thin, distant, like the rustle of silk over stone. She always stops at 9. But why? To understand the sorrow behind that question, we must go back. Back to a time when honor could mean death, and even the purest heart could be broken by the ambition of a powerful man. Let me take you there now. Close your eyes. The castle is still. The candles are lit. The paper walls breathe with wind, and a servant girl named Okiku walks silently down the corridor, unaware that her fate is about to echo through the centuries. Okiku was not born into wealth, nor did she know the softness of silk or the taste of fine rice. She was a servant girl, humble, graceful, and quiet as falling snow. In her youth, she was brought to serve the household of a powerful samurai named Aoyama Tezu-san, a man of both noble stature and notorious pride. The Aoyama estate, nestled within the towering walls of Himeji Castle, was a maze of paper doors, stone gardens, and secrets that trembled in the dark. To the outside world, it was a house of discipline and tradition. But behind closed doors, rumors flowed like shadowed rivers, whispers of cruelty, betrayal, and ghosts that never left. Okiku's duties were many. Each day she would rise before the sun, sweep the wooden floors, prepare tea, and ensure that the treasured porcelain plates, 10 in total, remained spotless and untouched. These plates were no ordinary dishes. They were royal heirlooms, gifted to Lord Aoyama's family generations ago, and said to be cursed should they ever be stolen or broken. The responsibility to care for them was a mark of trust. And trust, in that house, was rare and dangerous. Though she was only a servant, Okiku held herself with quiet dignity. Her movements were precise, her words few, and her presence like that of a faded cherry blossom drifting on a breeze. Some say she was beautiful, not the painted beauty of courtesans, but a beauty that felt untouched by desire. Others say she had a soul that made even the coldest wind feel warm. It was this light within her that drew the darkness near. Lord Aoyama, though married and powerful, was a man easily tempted. He watched Okiku with eyes that did not blink. His offers of affection were polite at first, a compliment, a silken ribbon, a glance held too long. Okiku, respectful yet firm, declined each one. And in that refusal, her fate was sealed. Rejection was not something Lord Aoyama accepted. Especially not from someone beneath him. His pride twisted into obsession, and obsession into anger. The walls of the castle, once merely cold, began to tighten around Okiku like a closing hand. Still, she did her duties. Still, she counted the plates each night, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. Her hands trembled more with each passing day, though she didn't know why. The servants began to notice shadows moving in places they shouldn't. A breeze would pass through the garden with no wind. The koi in the pond no longer surfaced when she approached. The balance of the house was shifting. Something had been set in motion. And in the still of one summer night, it would all begin to unravel. It was a night like any other, silent, warm, with the scent of pine drifting through the thin paper walls of the Aoyama estate. But inside Lord Aoyama's chamber, his patience had rotted into something cruel and festering. He had grown tired of waiting for Okiku's favor. His pride, bruised by her constant refusals, had morphed into something dangerous. And so, he devised a plan. A test, he called it, a way to bend her will through fear. On that night, Okiku performed her final duty, cleaning and counting the 10 porcelain plates. She had done it 100 times before. Her hands moved with the same delicate rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Her voice whispered as it always did, like a lullaby to no one. 4, 5, 6. She reached the end. 9. Her breath caught. She searched the cabinet again, her eyes wide, heart suddenly racing. 9. Only 9 plates. Okiku froze. Panic bloomed in her chest like a sudden fire. She counted again. And again. 1 was missing. Her hands trembled violently as she fell to her knees, checking under the table, beneath the tatami mats. Nothing. The 10th plate was gone. She ran through the corridors, lantern in hand, whispering apologies to the silent walls. She dared not speak to Lord Aoyama, not yet. She was sure it was a mistake. A miscount. Or a cruel trick by another servant. Anything but the truth. But Lord Aoyama was already waiting. He summoned her at dawn, his expression calm, but his eyes cold with satisfaction. She knelt before him, head bowed low, tears already forming in her eyes. "My lord," she whispered, I have lost one of the heirloom plates. I accept any punishment." He looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. "There is no need for punishment," he said. "Only, one request." His voice was like a blade wrapped in silk. "Become mine. Submit to me, and I shall forgive you. No one will know. No one will suffer." Okiku's silence was his answer. Even with her life on the line, she refused him. And with that, he stood slowly and turned away. "If you will not be mine in life," he whispered, "you will be mine in death." That night, the estate fell unnaturally quiet. The next morning, the servants whispered of screams that were swallowed by the well. Of splashes heard beneath the earth. And of a silence that settled over the garden like a curse. Okiku had vanished. Lord Aoyama declared her a thief who had run away in shame. He scolded the staff for poor discipline, then ordered the well in the courtyard sealed. But the silence did not last. Because late at night, someone began counting. At first, it was nothing but a whisper, soft, almost mistaken for the wind brushing past the bamboo trees. But soon, the whispers turned to counting. 1, 2, 3. Every night, after the lanterns were snuffed and the corridors of the Aoyama estate were swallowed by shadows, the counting would begin. Always the same voice, feminine, delicate, and full of sorrow. 4, 5, 6. The guards posted near the well began to speak of a presence. They swore they saw ripples in the water though no one was near. Some claimed they saw a pale hand reach from the depths, only to vanish as quickly as it appeared. Others quit their posts entirely, saying the voice followed them even in sleep. 7, 8, 9. It always stopped there. The final number was never spoken. And it was that silence after 9 that drove them mad. A stillness so heavy it pressed into the chest like a stone. A feeling of unfinished suffering, as if the spirit waited, longed, for the 10th plate to be found, or for vengeance to be fulfilled. Lord Aoyama at first dismissed the rumors. He scolded the staff and doubled the patrol. But as days passed, his sleep became thin, and his appetite withered. He began walking the halls alone at night, lantern in hand, pausing near the well as if listening. 1, 2, 3. It followed him. At first, he believed it was guilt. A trick of the mind. He told himself the girl had deserved her fate. She had refused him. She had embarrassed him. But the voice would not let go. 4, 5, 6. Even as he bathed, even as he tried to eat, even as he lay in bed, he could hear it, whispering just beneath the silence of the world. A ghost wrapped in numbers. 7, 8, 9. And then, nothing. That missing final count became a scream inside his skull. He grew paranoid, accusing servants of betrayal. He had them beaten, dismissed, and even imprisoned. Still, the voice returned each night. 1, 2, 3. Eventually, he stopped sleeping. He paced for hours, muttering to himself. His eyes sunken, his skin pale, his words sharp and fractured. He began to speak of Okiku as if she were alive. Sometimes, he claimed to see her standing at the end of the corridor, dripping wet, hair covering her face, in the same kimono she wore the night she disappeared. 1, 2, 3. He saw her at the well. He saw her in the mirrors. He saw her in his dreams. But no matter how many times he screamed at her, begged her to stop, the voice never changed. It only ever reached 9. The days blurred into nights, and nights into something else entirely, something twisted, hollow, and cold. The once proud halls of the Aoyama estate had become a maze of terror, where even the brave walked lightly and no door was ever fully closed. Lord Aoyama no longer left his quarters. His voice, once sharp and commanding, became brittle, a constant muttering to ghosts that no one else could see. His servants whispered that his eyes no longer focused, as if he was always watching something that existed just out of reach, something only he could see. And then, the deaths began. The first was a maid who had wandered too close to the well at dusk. She was found the next morning, collapsed beside the stone rim, her face pale, her eyes wide open. Her mouth was agape in a silent scream, as if her last breath had been stolen mid-cry. The physician found no wounds, no signs of poison or injury. Only a look of raw, frozen terror. Within days, a guard went missing. Then another. One was found kneeling at the edge of the well, arms hanging limp, as if he'd been caught mid-prayer, or pulled towards something in the depths. The others were never found at all. It was no longer whispers in the dark. Now there were footsteps, wet, soft, dragging across the tatami mats in the dead of night. Doors opened by themselves. Candles flickered violently, even in rooms with no wind. And every night, always the same sound. 1, 2, 3. Then silence after 9. Those still loyal to Lord Aoyama begged him to purify the estate, to call priests, to cleanse the well. But he refused. His pride, though cracked, still held firm. He would not show weakness, not even to the dead. Until the night he heard her speak. He was alone in his chambers, the lantern light casting shadows across the walls. He hadn't eaten in days, barely moved. He sat on the floor, fingers twitching, lips dry. The counting began. 1, 2, 3. He pressed his hands to his ears. But the sound was inside him now. 4, 5, 6. He whispered to the shadows, "Stop. Please." 7, 8, 9. Then, for the first time, a 10th sound followed. A breath. A breath so cold it froze the air in his lungs. And then, a voice, not a whisper, but a chilling rasp, dripping with water and grief. "You took everything." And from the darkness, she emerged. Her long black hair clung to her wet face. Her kimono, soaked and tattered, clung to her thin frame. Her eyes, those eyes, were endless pits of sorrow and rage. Okiku had come. And this time, she would not return to the well alone. That night, no one truly knows what became of Lord Aoyama. Some say the servants heard him scream, one long, final cry, before everything went silent. Others say they found him at dawn, staring into the sealed well, whispering the numbers softly to himself, over and over, until his voice vanished. He refused to eat. Refused to sleep. He was a shell, a ghost of the man he once was. Eventually, he disappeared entirely. Some believe he took his own life, throwing himself into the same well where Okiku's body was hidden. Others claim he fled the estate in madness, cursed to hear the counting until his dying breath. No body was ever found. No explanation ever came. But the well remained. In time, the estate was passed on to new hands. Walls were rebuilt. Lanterns were replaced. Life returned to the grounds. But one part of the estate was never touched, the courtyard with the well. It became a place of silence. Even the birds refused to land near it. Flowers never grew too close. And those who dared approach it at night always spoke of the same thing. A girl's voice, counting. 1, 2, 3. The legend of Okiku spread beyond Himeji. Over the centuries, her story was told and retold in plays, books, and films. But none of them could capture the truth, the unbearable weight of a soul betrayed and buried in darkness. Even now, Himeji Castle stands proud, one of Japan's greatest historic sites. Tourists walk its stone paths every day, cameras in hand, eyes wide with wonder. But near the corner of the inner garden, hidden behind weathered stone, there lies a sealed well, the Okiku well. Guides speak of it in hushed tones. Some leave offerings. Others simply avoid it, pretending it's not there. But on quiet nights, when the wind dies down and the stars hang low, the air changes near that place. Some say they hear a voice. 1, 2, 3. It always stops at 9. And if you listen too long, if you dare to count along with her, you may not be able to stop either. Okiku still waits. Not for vengeance, but to be heard.